Hi, everybody. Jim Cameron here. And it's certainly a pleasure and an honor to join you, albeit remotely, in celebrating Gale Hurd's vibrant career and her amazing contribution to cinema, especially the cinema of horror, sci fi, and action. I know her from the earliest days of her career, starting out in the scrappy guerrilla filmmaking ecosystem created by Roger Corman, and then through our four films together as director and producer: The Terminator, Aliens, The Abyss, and Terminator 2. So, from nothing budgets to a couple of the biggest budgets in history at that time, she rose meteorically in just 7 years. Years that are a blazing blur in my memory, probably yours too, Gale. I watched her learn and practice the craft of producing with brilliant intellect and fierce determination, encountering so many headwinds because of her gender, but overcoming them with grace and discipline and raw grit. I can safely say these films would not have been made without her. And I cherish those years together in which we rose to meet so many challenges and made four iconic films that still stand the test of time. Since then, I've, watched Gale from afar as she continued to rise to become one of the most powerful producers in Hollywood, female or otherwise. She not only blazed a trail as a woman in a highly male-dominated business, becoming an extraordinary role model, but she's actively mentored and empowered many other women along the way. She was certainly one of the earliest and strongest voices for equality in Hollywood, a true catalyst for change. Not only that, but right from the beginning of her career, she's made films that featured strong female heroes, something almost unprecedented in big commercial films when she was starting out in the early 80s. Okay, our industry has changed a lot since then, but it's still got a long way to go in that regard. So it's good to know that Gale is still out there fighting that fight. Of course, Sigourney's character in Aliens is an icon of strong female characters to this day, as you're about to be graphically reminded of. Now, we didn't have much money on Aliens. The studio had internally budgeted our script at $32 million, and they refused to make it at that price. And somehow Gale managed to convince them we could do it in England for $14 million. So we had to draw on all of our low budget experience working together at Corman's and on the Terminator. And we applied all those old school, down and dirty analog techniques to create more bang for the buck than the studio, 20th Century Fox, even thought was possible. Now, when we showed our cut to Fox, they said it was too much movie, too long. And I was damned if I could figure out what to take out. Well, Gale came up with the answer. Take out reel 2. What do you mean take out reel 2? That's ridiculous. That's the dumbest idea I ever heard. You can't just take out an entire reel. So I stormed off and I sat in the cutting room and ran the movie, and you know what? We took out reel 2. And it worked great. It was blindingly brilliant, like Alexander cutting the Gordian knot with one stroke of the sword. Anyway, guys, don't cry for reel 2. You can see it in the special edition if you've got to go there. When Aliens was nominated for 7 Academy Awards, including Sigourney's for Best Actress, we felt like we'd gone through the looking glass, from unknowns to the glitzy red carpet world of Hollywood in less than 3 years. And we were living at warp speed. Thankfully, none of that went to Gale's head. She just doubled down in her very deliberate and determined way to continue to squeeze the most from any budget and put the production value up on the screen, on The Abyss and Terminator 2 and all of her subsequent films. Now, she went on to make everything from epics to indies, spanning every genre, and her films were critically acclaimed, winning Oscars and many other prestigious awards. And in parallel with her movies, Gale created a powerful slate of TV films and series, including The Walking Dead. I don't know if you've heard about that one. One of the most successful and long-running series in TV history. You know, I'm sure you've heard a lot of this already, so let's move along to the part where you get to watch Aliens. Now, Gale and I are still very proud of this film and of the work of Sigourney and the rest of the cast, and also the great Stan Winston and our entire VFX team. Gale's worked across many genres since, but it's safe to say her first love is actually science fiction. And you'll see that love for the genre writ large in Aliens. So just a special quick thanks to Forbidden Worlds for honoring Gale Anne Hurd, producer extraordinaire. And now, enjoy the show.